Let me go back here to your attention because I want to go over civil liability, right? Because when you're going after anybody, whether that be the creditor, the debt collector, the consumer reporting agency, you have to bring a claim against them. In order to bring a proper claim against them, they have to be civilly liable somewhere in the law, right? So even though they're not investigating properly, even though they're not, obtaining reasonable and fair procedures, to investigate our consumer reports, they still have to be civilly liable somewhere in order for you to file suit against them. So in here, 15 USC 1681N and 1681O, right? And it's, as we know, it's kind of like Congress is telling us whether they're willfully non-compliant or negligently non-compliant. Either way, they're still civilly liable to you some way, somehow. Right? So let's go to civil liability for willful noncompliance. Any person who willfully fails to comply with any requirement imposed under this subchapter with respect to any consumer is liable to their consumer in the amount equal to the sum of any actual damages sustained by the consumer as a result of the failure, or damages of not less than 100 and not more than 1,000. So when people say it's $1,000 per violation, is up to $1,000 per violation. Or in the case of liability of a natural person for obtaining a consumer report under false pretenses or knowingly with a permissible purpose, actual damages sustained by the consumer as a result of the failure, or $1,000, whichever is greater. So this is for, let's just say, your employer or, a car dealership, right? If you said, okay, they can pull your consumer report once, but you see them pulling it every 5 months, what permissible purpose do you have for that transaction? You understand what I'm saying? If I give you permission to pull my consumer report one time, how are you now when I look over it? And this can show up as a hard inquiry or a soft inquiry, right? 9 times out of 10, it shows up as a soft inquiry. You have like 1,001 soft inquiries on your report and maybe like a few hard inquiries on your report. That still falls under permissible purpose. You still need to have permissible purpose in order to pull my consumer report regardless. You may not be pulling the full consumer report, but you're still seeing my personal identifiable information that is not to the public. Such amount imputing of damages as court may allow, and in the case of any successful action to enforce any liability under this section, the cost of the action together with reasonable attorney's fees and determined by the court. Civil liability for knowing noncompliance. Okay, so any person who obtains a consumer report from a consumer reporting agency under false pretenses or knowingly without a permissible purpose shall be liable to the consumer reporting agency for actual damages sustained by the consumer reporting agency, or $1,000, whichever is greater. So people who don't have permissible purpose that obtain your information is not only liable to you, is also liable to the consumer reporting agency. And that's kind of funny, right? Because you would figure that the consumer reporting agency would, do their due diligence and ask you first. That would be fair and equitable to you, which it says in the congressional findings of this subchapter, to do first, right? Reach out to you and ask, hey, is this something that, you applied for? Is this something that, only you can verify things. You understand? Only you can validate something. Only you know what you did, right? Okay, so let's go back to civil liability for negligent noncompliance. Okay, so any person who is negligent in failing to comply with any requirement imposed under this subchapter with respect to any consumer is liable to that consumer in an amount equal to the sum of any actual damages sustained by the consumer as a result of the failure, and in the case of any successful action to enforce any liability under this section, the cost of the action together with the reasonable attorney's fees as determined by the court. Okay, so if you are a victim of negligent noncompliance, which a lot of us are, right? You bring something forth to the consumer reporting agency. They're supposed to be investigating it. They're supposed to handle your disputes with care and accuracy. And they don't. That's negligent noncompliance. Then if you shoot over facts to them and they still don't want to comply and remove the account, then that's when we get over to the willful non-compliance, because I'm bringing something up to your attention and you're just willfully not complying with the law. Okay, so this is where you would bring up when they're negligent with your report. But I just wanted to show you guys where under the FCRA that you would bring a claim forth to the consumer reporting agencies, and where they are civilly liable, because remember, they can fail requirements all day long, but you can't file suit against them and win and actually have a claim unless somewhere in the law they are civilly liable, and this is where they are civilly liable. I also want to mention that if you are having credit issues, if you are having problem repairing your credit, articulating yourself, you need more help breaking down the law, you just need a better option, in a more hands-on option, in a more kind of like nurtured option, I do have a $50 credit repair special going on. So it's a DIY. It's in the link in the description below. It's $50 to get things removed off of your credit report. The value and the information inside of that guide is unmatched. You're not going to find that type of information anywhere for $50. It's step by step. It's hands-ons, evictions, late payments, bankruptcies, repossessions, anything on your consumer report that you need removed. That guide will walk you step by step on how to do. And I will see you guys in the next video.